Mousavi was the available candidate to run against Ahmadinejad at that time. And I think it also reflects the weakness of this regime. It's not only by the leadership of Mousavi, and Mousavi, many people in Iran are not happy with him because he was prime minister under Khomeini in the first decade of the revolution, and people say that he doesn't have the charisma, but I think it's more than that. The weakness of this movement is the lack of cohesive alternative ideology, that being capable of unifying the people behind their ideology. Like Khomeini's revolution was, Islam is the solution, the Shah must go. This regime does not, this movement, green movement, does not have such a catchy, definitive philosophy. And the other shortcoming or problem that I see here, that their slogan of "Where is my vote?" and the fight for democracy is not sufficient to recruit of the millions of people for whom you have also coined another phrase like "Where is my oil money?" If we are so rich, why we are so poor? In 31 years, why the economic situation of the people, the gap is not good. The gap between rich and poor remains as wide as it is. And I think that revolutions in history usually are based on two pillars: this fight for democracy and welfare. And I think that in this case, 31 years after, the regime did not provide the answers, and I think that one should supplement this call for "Where is my vote?" with a promise for betterment of the future life. It's not only to say what is wrong with the Islamic revolution, but also say what we are positively, what we want to do to remedy the problem.
You said before that Iran is a complicated country. What is a thing that Americans that we just don't get about that country? Is there one thing or a few things that are essential to realize about the country that this country does not understand, or the administration even?
Well, I think that it's a good question. It's difficult to answer so briefly, but I think that one thing that Americans and the West fails to understand about Iran is ignoring the domestic pulse of the people, what is important for the people themselves, and I think that's the major thing that I think is lacking. It's also we have to find a way to communicate to the Iranian people that America is not that bad. But ultimately, to your question, I think that much like the Iranians' policy towards America, which is based on sentiment rather than rationality, it's the same thing I find in American attitude towards Iranian. It's motivated so much by sentiments, and like, for example, the hostage taking in 1979 is such an important issue, and they are being offended by such statement by Ahmadinejad. This, I think, is less significant. The more important way is to find a way to appeal to the young people of Iran, and I think that the basic suggestion of dialogue was good policy. The problem is the dialogue that came out of this policy is not real dialogue. It's 5+1 sitting together. It's what it did exist under President Bush. The dialogue that I would have recommended is that President Obama take use of his electoral victory and the weakness of Iran and say, okay, you want dialogue? That's dialogue. We sit here, you sit there. Let's have Khamenei and President Obama, or someone from America's Secretary of State and Ahmadinejad sit together and solve the problem. This did not happen.
And just one more question regarding the nuclear issue. You know, as you said that time is ticking away. What can be done? What is the next step, in your opinion?
I think that the first step still is trying to convince the Iranian administration and the Iranian people that for their own sake and for the good of their own people, they should come to the negotiation table and suspend the nuclear program for a few years. The pressure on Iran can be second level, and then you can have pressure on moral issues, on human rights, which in my view is very important. and economic pressure. I know that sanctions are difficult to impose and more so to implement, but still I think you have to find ways to punish the rulers, the government of Iran, and avoiding as much as possible to harm the Iranian people. And then, as always is being mentioned anywhere, you have other measures, more radical measures to deal with the Iranian regime. I can say one sentence. Iran is not that powerful as the world is making them appear, and America is not such a paper tiger as the Iranians tend to think.